Welcome back, everyone, to Light Talk with Dana. And this is a place where you can tell your own unique paranormal and spiritual experiences with a safe and supportive community. If you have a story you'd like to share, email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. All right. I like to keep that quick because I'd love to get into our stories with our guests. Just like other guests, I have a wonderful guest with us today, and I want to get her started on her story. So go ahead and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Hey, everybody. My name is Susan Reynolds, and I am what is known, or what I call myself, is a karmic astrologer. And I've been an astrologer for over 40 years. I love what I do. It is my passion. It is my joy. But I will also say I had to find my own unique voice. I wasn't looking for my own unique voice. It just kind of found me. So 40 years ago, when I was first starting out, and I still do this today, even after all these decades, before I read for a client, I always go into a time of prayer and meditation. And I ask that the veil of heaven will be drawn back. And I ask that I'll be shown, let me see, hear, and know whatever is important for my client. When I do that, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I will start to see visions of my clients' past lives, of where they have been, what they have learned, and most important, what they've come into this lifetime to deal with. And I don't say the right, I don't say the wrong, I just say, this is what I saw. So I'll share with my clients, sort of throwing it out there, take it, leave it, do whatever you want with it. But remember when I started doing this is in the 1980s. We did not have Teresa Caputo. We did not have John Edward. We didn't have television shows about this. Back when I was starting to open up to this, you kind of had to know somebody who knew somebody who might invite you to a group, and you'd have to knock on the door 3 times and ask for Joe. Like this was not widely
Yeah,
accepted.
exactly.
So I was meditating on this client's chart I'd never read for her before. And spontaneously, without my doing anything, a vision opened up in front of me. And I saw a vision of what I knew was this woman in another life. And I saw her in Ireland as a woman married with lots of children, 7, 8, 9, like what we consider a lot of children.
That's a lot of kids.
And she was a good woman, and her husband was a farmer, and there wasn't a lot of money, but she loved her children, and she really tried to give them a good life and, make sure they were educated. And then she died, like what we'd consider early, maybe like in her 50s or something. Um, and then the vision went away. And I didn't know what to do. I'm like, am I supposed to tell this woman this? Like, I can't tell her this, like, this is in the 80s. I'm thinking maybe it's all this woman can do to come and get a reading with me for astrology. And I'm going to start talking about you lived other lifetimes. And, and I was like, I can't do this. And I went back and forth, back and forth. Should I tell her? Should I not tell her? Oh God, I had such a headache trying to figure out what to do. Finally, I said, okay, if I was shown this, this was for her. And I'm going to tell her this, but I'm going to tell her this first before anything else. So if she's upset or doesn't like it, she can just leave and I'll apologize and we're done. Yeah. And not only was I a little hesitant, a lot hesitant to tell her, I was also a little embarrassed because this was such a humdrum, ordinary life. Like, I'm thinking, couldn't the woman have been involved in a civil war or maybe been married to a king or maybe a pirate? Like, something with some pizzazz to it. No, you're a housewife in Ireland and had kids, were a good woman, you died the end. Yeah, like I was embarrassed to tell this woman this. So she comes in, lovely young woman in her 30s, beautifully dressed, looking like a professional woman, although I didn't know anything about her. We sat down and I started to tell her this vision.
Huh.
And this woman burst into tears. And she said, "Oh my God, that explains my whole life." And I'm like, this boring Irish woman explained your whole life. After she composed herself, she started to share her story with me. It turned out she was born into a very loving Irish Catholic family in Boston, large family, maybe 6 or 7 kids. And the women, the females, usually went to school, got married, and then the husband supported the family. So the
Yeah.
women may like get a job to help out here and there, but the men had the careers and the women were the homemakers. And she said she grew up knowing she never wanted that kind of life. She said she knew she wanted a career, not a job. And so she
Yeah.
studied hard. She went to law school. She graduated. She was a lawyer with this very prestigious firm. And she said she always felt guilty for not being what the rest of her family was. She always felt guilty for not having the same dreams as her family. And when I told her this life, she's like, "Oh my God, that explains it. No wonder I didn't want that. No wonder I'm looking for something else. I did that already." And I could see the change in this woman. It's like right in front of me, she looked lighter, freer. I was like, "Oh my gosh," like I was in awe. I don't even remember the rest of the reading. I just remember how much what I thought was not very anything at all meant the world to her.
Yeah.
And it was a big lesson to me. Like, it's not up to me to judge. I don't get to decide what's important or not. If
Hmm.
I get it, it's for my client. Susan, you're just the telephone. You just pass it on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've learned too.
And after that, every chart, I go into my time of prayer and meditation. And almost all the time, I'll start to see something. Sometimes I'll see several lifetimes. Sometimes I'll see one lifetime in great detail. Sometimes, and it's rare, but sometimes my guides will tell me, "No, you're not supposed to see anything for this woman. That door is closed for now," which I accept, but my clients tend to be a little frustrated with that, like, "Well, you told my friends all this stuff." I'm sorry, it's not up to me, kind of thing.
Right.
But
Right.
most of the time, I'll start to see something. And most of the time, clients will recognize that or respond to that, or
Hmm.
it'll explain something for them. It'll be like, "Oh, this is why I struggle with this." Or and I'm like, "Yes, this is a lesson you came in
Hmm.
to learn. Of course, you're not good at it. You're not supposed to be good at it, or you wouldn't be,
Right.
set up to take in school." Because that's how I look at the earth, like a giant schoolroom.
Hmm.
Yeah. We come in to learn something, and our chart explains that to us, what we came in to learn, why we came in to learn it. It shows us how to do it the easy way. And sadly, most of us end up doing it the hard way,
I get that one. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just sometimes I say, just hit me in the head with a 2x4 enough times, and I get it eventually, But I think the chart kind of is like the easy button. There's old commercials with that big red button that says easy. It shows us
Okay.
how to do it the easy way. Like, here, don't swim upstream. Go this way. You'll go faster.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things I love about astrology. It's one of the things I love about readings. It's a place of guidance and help and support. And for people who maybe haven't had readings before or a little hesitant about it, I tell them that their chart, and when I'm interpreting it, it's like if you go to a financial advisor, that financial advisor may say, "Well, I think gold's going to do very well, and you might put some money there, but you might move it out of the stock market and put it over here." You're going to them for advice. They don't make the decisions in your life, you do. So you may leave and go, "You know what? That was some good advice. I'm going to follow that." Or you may leave and say, "You know what? I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to listen to anything they say." Because we make our own decisions. And so, but a chart, it's lots of times it's tucked away somewhere. And 3 years, 4 years down the line of it, oh, that astrologer wasn't as full of shit as I thought she was.
And
We just sometimes have
that
to get,
feels good, huh? For your side.
it does,
Hmm.
because I've had clients who I read for, and of course, I'm reading my heart out for them, just like you do for anybody you're reading, doing the very best I can. And they thank me very politely and leave. But I can know they were dismissing this. They were not impressed with anything I said. Never going to hear from them again, you know? And then 3 or 4 years down the line, they go, well, what you said turned out to be right. And you have to not, and this is something that's hard for me. I don't know if you ever struggle with this as a reader, but you have to let it not be personal. You have to take yourself out of it,
Hmm.
and it's our job to provide the information, whether they're gushing about it or polite and leave. We have to just know we did our job. We did the best we could do for that client. But
Yeah,
when they're ready to hear it, or when they need to hear it, maybe way down the line from when they had their session with us. So I had to get over that. I had to let that go and just say,
yeah,
that's not up to me. That's not my job.
right,
You know. But
right.
yeah, it is kind of nice when they come back and go, you're better than I thought you were. And and the reading really did have some value. That does make me feel good.
Yeah, I have one that has come, talked to since their reading, and they go, we keep looking back at it because I did her and her husband, and they go, they keep looking back at it because it's still resonating with them. So I was like, that feels really good. Yeah, I
When
get
I
it.
was first starting out, and again, this is many decades ago, my spiritual teacher was alive at that time, and he was really encouraging me to do this. And I didn't think I could. I was like, well, it's not like my life is in such perfect balance that I can tell other people how to live their life. Like, my life's a mess. So he was like, no, you need to do this. This is going to be good for you. So I was doing it. And after a couple of months, I went back to my spiritual teacher and I said, you're wrong. I'm terrible at this. I suck as an astrologer. Everybody read for cries. I'm like the worst astrologer ever. And he said, Susan, when a client is moved to tears, it is because you have spoken a truth to their soul. And he said, get a box of tissues and go back to work. And I did. Because you never know where a reading's going to go. Is it going to be strictly astrology? Am I going to see a vision right in the middle of the reading? Are there guides going to pop in and want to talk to me? Is a passed on relative going to show up? Every reading's different and you never know what's going to happen. And when you put yourself there, sort of opening that portal, that doorway, that's an exciting time. Every reading is different. And it's as much fun for me as I hope it is for my client to be able to do that. And can I tell you about the first time I saw somebody's guides? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Because
go
it's
for it.
okay. I was reading for a woman who's a friend of mine, and I read for her many times before. And we were sitting there, and right in the middle of the reading, a spirit guide shows up in the room. And I'm not just aware of another presence, like I'm seeing physical manifestation of a spirit guide. And I am freaking out. I'm
So
totally
cool.
not prepared for this. And I'm like, behind you, and my client, who's the sweetest woman in the world, is like talking me off the ledge. Like, it's okay, Susan. Just tell me about them. You know. I wish we'd filmed it. It was like something on a Saturday Night Live skit. Looking back, it was hysterical. At the time, I was a little kerflumped, maybe.
That would have been funny. And yes, so cool, you know?
In hindsight, very funny.
Yeah.
At the time, maybe not as much as other people would think of it. She's very calm. I'm freaking out. Like the
Have
reader
you
has
seen
completely
Spirit?
lost control. I'm
Have
sorry?
you seen spirit prior to that?
Yes. No, that was the first time. Up until then, I'd sometimes been aware of like maybe a presence or something,
Okay.
but I'd never really explored it. And this time, boom, like right there, the spirit guide was not only there visiting, but ready to talk, like, and
Oh,
and
so
I'm
cool.
trying to interpret what I'm hearing and what the spirit is saying and tell her. And the spirit kept moving around. I'm like, I didn't know I could ask him, would you stay still in one place? Because I'm looking all over the place.
Pacing
It
the
was a
floor.
disaster. But you have to kind of laugh at that. You laugh at yourself. You laugh at these crazy experiences we have. You have to have that kind of sense of humor to be able, because you never know what's going to happen. And yeah, some odd things sometimes happen
Yeah,
in our line of work.
yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for all kinds of crazy stuff, so I'm just getting into it. But it's been so much fun for me. Can't wait to see what comes about.
Well, on your website, you talk about studying to be a medium.
Yes.
So you're enjoying that and progressing in that. So
Yeah, I'm
do you
getting
do
there.
readings for clients? Like, do they come to you and you can talk to grandma or whatever?
Not yet. Not yet. Right now it's just the card reads and the photo reads, but I'm excited to be able to start getting some relatives coming through and being able to hear and see and all that. I'm excited for that, but I'm not there yet.
Okay, yeah. I'm
Yet.
not a
Yeah,
medium. I'm not a professional medium, and I tell my clients this all the time. But you open that door and you never know what's going to happen. And
right.
the first time a passed on relative came through, I was reading for a client and I was reading the chart and I'm talking about your Venus is doing this or whatever. And this spirit of an older man rushes towards me. Like he sees a door open or a light or something, he just rushes towards her. And he starts telling me in a very strong voice, tell her I love her. And I was like, no, shoot, go away, go away. Like, I didn't want him here. And he won't leave. And he's saying, tell her I love her. And I'm like, go away, go away. Because, and this is me, I was thinking, I love you is such a generic message. It's like, and what we do is sometimes looked at very disparagingly. We're cross my palm with silver, we're frauds, we're trying to take advantage of people. And so if there was a passed on relative coming in and they wanted to tell me something, I wanted that to be very specific, you know, like remember the time you fell into the water when we were in the canoe or whatever, like
Yeah.
something
Some
that
crazy
that
story.
yes, that they would relate to, not a generic I love you. So I'm telling them no, I go away and I'm still reading, and my client has no clue I'm arguing with this spirit at the same time I'm reading for her. And finally, he's very insistent and won't leave. And I just had a pencil in my hands and I threw my pencil down. Oh, all right. My client looks at me shocked. And I tell her, I said, there's an older man here, and he's very insistent that I tell you and say to you, I love you. And tears start to come down my client's face. I did not know it, but her father had died 3 weeks before. And he was in the hospital. He's very sick. And she was in another state. And the family called her and said, it's time, come. And she got in the car and she drove like a bat out of hell to get there. And she said, by the time she got there, he had already passed. And she said, I'd give anything to hear him say, I love you one more time. I did not know any of that.
Yeah,
And
major chills going through me right now. Ooh. Yeah.
and I realized, Susan, who are you to decide what the message is? You know, it's nice that you want to be accurate and have something, but you don't know what's important to them. You don't know what's going on there. You know, you don't get to tell people what they can and cannot say. You know, you just get out of the way. So once again, once again, my guides had to kind of gently tap me on the shoulder, you know.
All right,
My
listen to
friends
me
just
now.
laughed. They're like, Susan, your guys have to take up a collection or something. Yeah. For extra compensation. You know, like when you go to a country with some sort of posting, you get hardship pay. Your guides need hardship pay for having to deal with you, you know? Like, yeah, I know. So they're very patient with me. I'm very lucky and very fortunate they're very patient with me. But sometimes when I'm reading for a client and I'm telling him or her something, I'll feel my guide sort of tap me on the back of the head, like, pay attention, Susan, this is for you too. You know, don't think you're okay in this area. You know, they're so kind and loving, and sometimes they're a little tough, you know, too. So
Tough love,
I'm,
huh?
yeah, tough love. But
Yeah,
it's how
how
we grow,
funny.
it's how we learn. We do the best
Hmm.
we can.
Hmm.
And, we make our mistakes, and hopefully we just keep getting better and keep improving, keep doing the
Hmm.
best that we can do to grow and be as good at what we do as possible.
Yeah, in my readings, I pretty much just tell them everything that comes through, and whether it sounds weird or not, or basic or whatever. So I just whatever comes through, that's what they get. But I know if there's something that's going to come through and it's like, oh, I should have said this differently, or so I got a lot to learn. But that's what we're here for.
We all do.
Hmm.
We all do.
Yeah.
I struggle a lot. I don't know if you struggle with this. Well, maybe not a lot, but I struggle sometimes with if I see something difficult coming up in my client's chart. I'm like, oh, they're not going to like this. I have to be honest with them. I have to be truthful with them, and I need to prepare them. But at the same time, you don't want to scare the bejesus out of them. So, how are you truthful and honest and encouraging at the same time? You know, like sometimes it's a very fine line to find the right way to phrase things so that they hear you and are empowered instead of scared, you know.
Yeah. I try to say, I'm pretty blunt in the first place in a lot of things like that. So I'm pretty blunt. So I will just tell them that it's going to be blunt, but don't freak out. And we can talk about it and work our way through it because it's probably not as scary or whatever it may be, but we'll just talk it through because I'm just going to say what comes through and then we can discuss it.
Yeah. In astrology, one of the things I love about astrology is that it's very good with timing, because when you're picking things up intuitively, you've picked it up, but is that for tomorrow or is that for 10 years down the road? So sometimes it's difficult to get the right timing, but with astrology, it's laid out in the chart. And so I can say, you know what? It looks like in the fall, there may be some financial difficulties coming up. So but after that, I can look past the difficult part and I say, but after that, around this date, that's going to pass and you're going to be okay. They can make the
Mhm.
decision, oh, I was going to buy a new car in the summer, but let me wait until after that fall time that Susan talked about.
Yeah.
And then they need a new roof. And guess what? They have the money because they didn't spend it on a car.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's one of the things that I like. It gives you the information. You get to make decisions about your timing and about what you're going to do and how you're going to do that. And it's one of the best things about astrology is that the predictive aspects of it, because you can say, this may not be that much fun, but here's where it gets better.
Right.
And sometimes I'll say, but it looks like by May it's going to get better. And then sometimes I'll have clients contact me. It's May 1st. It's not better, Susan. Like they're all upset. Okay, give it a couple of weeks, like because they're hanging on. They're like, Susan said it would get better in May. And by God, it's 12:01 on May 1st, and it needs to be better.
It's a little
So
bit of a time frame that you can have.
yeah. So sometimes I'm like, good on you for holding on and hanging in
Right,
there. And it is going
right.
to start to get better, but sometimes we're in a difficult situation, we're emotional, we're upset, we're struggling with some things, and we just want it to be over. And what I love in astrology is that I can say, yes, this is difficult. I can see it in your chart. This is a painful time, but it's going to get better. And here's a really nice time for you. Because when we're upset, when we're struggling, it's almost like we forgot how to be happy. We forgot life can be carefree. It just takes everything.
Yeah.
And so being the voice of encouragement and the voice of being able to tell people positive things, that feels really good sometimes. Most of the time, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does feel good when you have a good reading and letting them know some good times are coming. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it does feel good.
it does.
It does.
It's sometimes I don't know. I don't get a lot of this. I got this a little bit more years ago when I was first starting out. Sometimes a client will ask you something that is sort of beyond your ability. Like one of my clients asked me for the winning lottery numbers. And I'm like, okay, does this look like my villa in the south of France?
Yeah.
Are we cruising on my yacht in Saint Tropez or something? Can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one time a client was going through a divorce. She was devastated, and she said, can you like give me a spell or something to make my husband come back to me? I'm like,
Mm.
no.
Yeah.
So over the years, I think the community, or I think the country has gotten more sophisticated and
Mm.
more aware of what readers can and cannot do. Because I don't get those kinds of questions anymore. But 40 years ago, sometimes you'd get somebody who was, you know, like, can you use your powers for them? I don't have any powers. I have zero powers.
I could totally see that from when I was a little kid. I mean, thinking of what this was all about. And it's like, yeah, you can do anything you want. You can yeah, you can win all the lottos or you can yeah, yeah.
I remember reading one of John Edwards' books, and he was talking about being in Vegas. And he said he was standing in front of the roulette table, and he kept getting the impression number 17, number 17. So he put some money down on number 17, nothing happened. Put more money down on number 17, nothing happened. Put money down a third time on number 17, nothing happened. He walked away from the table and number 17 hit. And he was saying it was a lesson to him that he can't use his intuition in that way. Yeah. So we all have our ethics, our integrity, our standards, and our guides often are showing us how we are supposed to use our gifts or the path that's open for us. And
Right.
um, I thought, wow, I'd have been a little pissed if I was him, all that money on number 17, yeah. I think it was number 17. But yeah, he had to learn his. We all have to learn, what's the best way to use our gifts and what's the best way to share this. I love that you're doing this with a podcast because it's helping people say, oh, this is what astrology is like. This is what card readers are like. This is what mediums are like. It's helping to educate the public.
Yep. Yep. In so many different ways. So many different ways. Yeah.
I mean, 40 years ago, not only were there no podcasts, I don't think there was a computer and there was such a thing as YouTube or Facebook or
Oh,
Instagram or, all the social media outlets that are open to us now. Um, because, on my website, I put out free predictions every month on every one of the 12 signs and what to expect in the month ahead.
mhm.
And so that's my way of sharing and giving back. And, sometimes, a lot of times, people can't afford a full reading or they don't need one. Sometimes they just need a little, what to expect in the month ahead kind of thing. And
Right.
so, yeah, you're doing a podcast and it's a way of sharing. And oh, can I mention my website? It's
Definitely.
exploreastrology.com. So if you want to know what's going on with you month to month, exploreastrology.com has it on there. Yeah.
And that'll be in the notes below too. So go ahead
Uh,
and check that out. Yeah. Yeah.
and every day on
Definitely.
my Facebook page, I put where the moon is. So I'll say today the moon is in Aries, and a good way to work with Aries energy is to do, new projects and work in the yard and be physical and but watch the temper. So I'll sort of talk about the high side of every one of the 12 signs, and I'll talk a little bit about the shadow side that can creep up on us if we're not paying attention.
Right. And sometimes we need a little help with that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
every sign, every one of the 12 signs has the most beautiful expression possible. And we don't want to look too close at that kind of, what's under that rock kind of part of the sign.
Yeah. Yeah. They always have to have a yin yang, huh?
Yep. And so, but as we age, as we mature, as we grow, hopefully we move more and more into the positive energies of that sign and what we're supposed to be. And
Right.
we start to be able to use astrology as what it's meant to be, a tool to make our life easier. I don't know when this is going to post, but today, as we're talking, it's March 30th. And today, for the first
31st.
time in 165 years, Neptune is going into Aries.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's a big deal. That is,
Wow.
astrologers are all excited about this. This is a big, big deal. And I
So can you
love
tell us?
this.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I love this for us, for people who are in the mind, body, spirit community, because Neptune is a planet of spiritual development. Neptune rules the woo-woo community.
Mhm.
Yeah, it rules meditation and readings and going within and seeking divine guidance. It's not necessarily tied to a religion, but it is tied to our seeking something more than ourselves. Very mystical. Neptune is the planet that rules our dreams, like not our goals dreams, but like our go into REM sleep dreams, when we go to sleep. Neptune is a very healing planet. It's very artistic and creative, but it's sort of like nailing jello to the wall. It's hard to get a hold of it. Neptune rules fog and illusion, rules magic. It's like what you see is not what you get. So
Mm.
Neptune is sometimes the way we lie to ourselves. Oh, one little beer won't hurt. Oh, I know I just joined Weight Watchers, but nobody has to know about the hot fudge sundae. Neptune is often, where we self-sabotage, where we do it to ourselves a little bit. So we
Mhm.
get the highest side and sometimes the lowest side, like every planet and every sign. Now, starting today and going through October, for these next several months, it's going to move into Aries, which I love. I'm super, super excited about this because for the last 12 years, Neptune has been in Pisces, where it's been very happy. It rules Pisces, very loving, very artistic, very kind, very compassionate, but also very, let's wait and see. I'm going to wait for a sign. I'll know when it's the right time. It's very Pisces like, Now it's moving into Aries. Aries is the complete antithesis of Pisces. Aries is kick ass and take names. Let's make it happen. So now we've got this very dynamic, very forceful energy of the ram combining with our spiritual goals. So what we are going to see is people start to take new action in terms of leaving corporate America and being an artist, or fulfilling what they feel their dream is. They're going to take that step, whether that step is learning to be a better medium, or deciding to learn astrology, or becoming a doctor, becoming a Reiki master. What are your spiritual goals in your life? Because this energy is going to kickstart them. It's going to amp that up to where, oh, it's not a far off dream. What do I need to do right now to make this happen? So in our community, we're going to see a lot of changes. We're going to see a lot of people talk about taking action to make their dreams come true. It's, for me, I'm looking at this in a very positive, very exciting way. We
Yeah.
can feel engaged with our higher self. We can have better communication with our higher self. So in October,
Yeah.
it is going to retrograde back into Pisces, where it'll stay for November, December. So, but from
Okay.
now through October, I think there are new spiritual doors opening up for all of us. I think there
I
are going to
like
be new
that.
dreams. I think you're going to be a kick-ass medium by October.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I hope so. I already have strong feels about my card readings kicking up. So I'm so excited about that. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about that.
People are
Yeah.
going to open up into new areas, maybe areas that they were a little afraid to get into. Oh, I'm not sure if
Mhm.
I want to do that kind of thing. Because Aries embodies courage. So we're not going to let those fears or uncertainties stop us from pursuing something.
Mhm.
The courage of Aries is one of the most beautiful things about them. When you think of 9/11 and the firemen running into the building, that's Aries. That's Aries courage in action. But you can take that kind of courage and apply it to any area of life. You know, you can do more public speaking. And talk about a fear. People are less afraid of death than they are public speaking.
Yeah, that's me.
So we're going to see people doing more speaking, starting a podcast, writing articles, letting their voice be heard, in positive ways, in uplifting ways. We may explore areas and say, you know what, this was, oh, where I am, I don't know if you can hear this, it's thundering and lightning outside.
Oh,
So if I
I just
jump,
heard a little something, but
uh, so we're going to see people explore, and they may say, I'm glad I studied that, but it's not for me, and go into something else. It's fine. They're just going to take those steps for action to make that happen. And they're going to be very true to their higher self, to their authentic self. And so I can't wait to see these
that is,
next several months unfold and
yeah,
see
that
what
is so
happens.
exciting. That is very exciting. Yeah.
What sign are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm Scorpio.
That's a wonderful sign. And again, no wonder you want to explore being a medium, because Scorpio rules life and death, the veil between this side and the other side in astrology.
Oh, that makes sense then.
So when you get
Yeah.
a lot of Scorpio energy, you can often be interested in areas that deal with life and death. Maybe you work at a funeral home. Maybe you work at a hospice center. Maybe you work with estate planning as a lawyer. But there's that tone of something that's, maybe a little secret, maybe something that you don't really talk about very much, kind of thing. Scorpio is very big on secrets. They will delve deep, but they will not tell you about it.
Interesting.
So we have a very
Yeah.
exciting year ahead. A lot of changes. In June, we have Jupiter moving into a new sign. In July, we have Uranus moving into a new sign. In May, we have Saturn moving into a new sign, and today we have Neptune moving into a new sign. So there is a tremendous amount of astrological activity happening this year.
So would that make, with all the changes there, is that what's causing all the changes for us? Is
As
because of,
above, so below.
there you go. Yeah,
So you've got
makes
all
sense.
these astrological planets moving around, and we on Earth who are experiencing them feel very unsettled, yeah, and maybe confused, a little agitated. You know, um, I just turned 70 this past summer, and I said, this is not what I thought 70 was going to look like when I was growing up. I, boom, totally different. So, yes, as we see these new energies coming in 2025, it's going to be a year of being very unsettled. We may explore things and stop and start and stop and, you know, have to adjust or pull back or make changes kind of thing. And so, and that's normal with all of these different things happening, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I don't see these changes as negative. I just see them as different, new and different. Like I was telling one of my clients in June, Jupiter's going to move into a sign of Cancer. Jupiter is a planet that makes everything bigger. It is a planet of expansion. It is moving into a sign of Cancer. Cancer is the sign that rules food. I guarantee you we are going to see food prices go up this year.
Already started.
Yes. It's,
Yeah.
you know, I said we're also going to see more stories about how fat Americans are. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that any other way. We're going to see more Americans gaining weight, or there's going to be stories about we're not eating healthy food, or food alteration, or genetically modified food, or the food we're eating isn't healthy for us, or
Mhm.
recalls, or E. coli, or I don't know what they recall things for, but like this something got in the food, or we need to recall this or whatever. We're going to hear
Yeah.
more and more this year about all these different kinds of things happening with food because that's part of the expansion planet in the area that deals with food. We may also hear more stories this year about the birth rate in America and the birth rate going up, or things to encourage the birth rate to go up in our country, because
Oh,
Cancer
wow.
rules home and family.
Okay.
Jupiter rules expansion. So we may see more things coming up about that. This can be a very fertile year. We may have a population explosion in the United States. Well, really all over, because it's not just the United States that experiences these planets and these energies. We all
Right.
do.
Right.
So
Right. So
that's going to be.
does that mean that we're losing people on Earth?
No, you mean like people passing away or going to
Right.
the other side? I do not see that en masse. Like I don't see another COVID outbreak with people dying. No, I don't see anything like that. But I
Okay.
do see more natural disasters happening this year. And we've already seen that. I
Hmm.
mean, this earthquake that they just had in Malaysia and tsunami, and
Yeah.
when they had that tsunami years ago in Thailand and Cambodia, it
Hmm.
was the first time I'd really heard about a major tsunami. And now it seems like every month, some country was hit with a tsunami.
Wow.
And we're going to see more earthquakes happening this year. We're going to see volcanoes going off this year. We're going to see tsunamis happening this year. So it's part of the weather pattern. And that's, odd weather is going to become the norm rather than something that's, oh, we've never seen this before. You know, I live in North Carolina. Our state just got hit a few months ago with Hurricane Helene, and it hit
Oh,
in the
yeah.
mountains. Who knew the mountains of North Carolina would need flood insurance? Like, who thinks that? You don't, your mind doesn't go there.
Right. Right.
And yet
Yeah.
there it was. That's how it happened. So that is going to be a bit of a challenge this year. We are going to see that. And I know we have FEMA in the United States to help victims of major natural disasters, and a
Hmm.
lot of countries don't have that, and I'm very glad and grateful that our country does, because it makes a huge difference when your life is just turned on a dime through something
Right.
that's not your fault. But
Right.
we're going to see more of that happening. That's, that's the thing that I'm, you know, not that happy about. I'm not that happy about.
Yeah. That's never fun to do or think about because of all the lives and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got some friends that live in Florida, and they're talking about how hard it is to get insurance. And a lot of these companies are just saying, nope, we're not going to insure you. You have too many hurricanes, or you're costing us money.
Right. Right.
So I definitely see, I don't know why I keep seeing like the Midwest, like the area around the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, like there may be some stuff going on there this year. You know, um,
No earthquakes, please.
I hope not. I'm always praying for our country, and always, surrounding our country with light and asking for its protection, and, that we will be guided to the best and highest vision for our nation possible, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I definitely believe in the power of prayer and how important that is for all of us to feel like that's something we can do. You know, I don't know how to bring world peace or end world hunger, or do the big things, but I can pray for our nation. That's
Yeah.
something I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's worth it. That's worth it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Ooh. Well, we have a few more minutes. Do you have any other stories you'd like to share or
I don't know if it's so much
say?
stories. I'd like people to understand some of the new energies that are coming in,
Okay.
because they're new and we've never experienced these before. Like I just talked about Neptune, uh, um, you know, coming in for the first time in 165 years. In July, we have Uranus moving into Gemini. Uranus stays about 7 years in each sign, and it has been in Taurus for the last 7 years. And now in July, it's going to move into the sign of Gemini. So we're going to see lots of technological changes. We're going to see lots of changes in terms of automobiles and vehicles. And, you know, we're going to see vehicles that self park. We might see ones that are amphibious, like you don't have to drive around the lake, you can just drive across the lake and come out the other side, kind of thing. We
Oh
may
boy.
even see cars that can rise up over traffic, like things from the Jetsons, the cartoon
Yeah.
from the 1960s, like flying cars, kind of thing. Might cost a bit,
Wow.
but I think we're going to start to see some of that.
Wow.
And these protests that we're seeing against Tesla. Again, it's about the car. Like that's a very forward-thinking car, and it's an electric car. We're going to see a lot more electric cars all over the world, and people wanting electric cars and not doing well. We're going to see cars that basically act like our computers at home, our phones and our computers. I just bought a used car a couple of months ago, and it's got so many bells and whistles on this thing, I can barely drive it. I mean, and so I was sitting in the car. I'd gotten to a doctor's appointment early one day,
Uh-huh.
and I was sitting there sort of scrolling through my phone, checking some things, and a voice out of the car goes, "What would you like to do?" And I'm like, "I'd like you to mind your own business. It's none of your business if I'm sitting here in my car." I was like, "Who said that?" kind of thing. So the automobiles are definitely becoming smarter and smarter and more technologically advanced. But it also means that we're going to have to look at what's okay because that's a good safety feature, and what's too much because that invades our privacy. My car starts dinging if I've left something in the back seat. Like if I have groceries in the back seat, it'll
Right.
start dinging to let me know I left something in the back seat, which is a good safety feature if you've accidentally left your child in the back seat.
Right.
So I can see
Right.
that one. But what if your car won't start because you're late paying your car note? Is that one of those too much? What if you've got a lower insurance because you don't smoke and you smoke in the car and your car reports you to your insurance company or something? So, just like
Yeah.
in medicine, we've had to kind of look
Ugh,
at what works, what doesn't, what's too much, what can
right.
we do, what do we should we not do? That's going to start to come up in terms of automobiles and technology and what it can and cannot do. I mean, this year it just puts its big toe in, but every year for the next 7 years, we're going to be looking deeper and deeper at where are those lines? What is okay and what is not okay? What helps us? What is an invasion of our privacy? Are we allowed to have privacy anymore? So, like anything else in any other planet, it's not about good or bad. It's about how we use this in the best way possible.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's going to
Yeah.
be an exciting year. A lot going on.
Yeah. I'm excited for that, for what I've got going, but cars, I don't know. I'm a little weirded out with
See,
some of that stuff there.
they're just things we hadn't looked at. Like
Yeah.
I know when they started to have fertility treatments available, they had to create an ethics department for hospitals. Like, is it okay for a grandmother to give birth to her grandchild because her daughters can't carry that baby? Like, what's okay, what's not? They had to figure it out. We as a
Yeah.
world, not just the United States, we'll figure it out. But it's
Right.
going to come up as a question. We're going to start looking at it more and more.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get there and we're going to be flying soon and
Yes,
we have to
absolutely.
watch above us, see what's dropping out of windows and everything. Are they throwing their trash into my sunroof? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I say that
Okay.
because we pick up trash all the time around our street. So it's like, okay, we pick up a lot of trash there. So what's going to land in my car?
Well, good
I
for
don't know.
you that you're out there policing the street and picking up the trash. Good for you.
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it because it's a mess out there. It's a mess.
And you're stepping up to do it. So good on you.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we like to do. So,
Okay.
well, we're gonna close it up at this point, and wow, thank you so much for all that information. You've got so much to tell, and I know you have more you can share with us, and that's so exciting. I'm excited for the next few months and see what's going to happen, and hope everybody out there is going to be able to find their right spot in life and explore. Yeah,
I'm excited too for all of us. I think we're going to really be able to embrace this new energy and
yeah,
use it in very beautiful ways. So
yeah.
I'm very glad I had a chance to come on here and talk to you and be a part of your podcast. So thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's been a great pleasure. I welcome you to be on the show. I mean, I love it. So thank you for being a guest. It's been absolutely fantastic.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
If anybody else out there has a story that you would like to share with the paranormal or supernatural or anything with card reads or um, planet reads or anything like that, I mean, it's all so cool. Um, Please email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com and we will see what we can do of getting you on the show. And don't forget to click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. And we will see you all next time. Bye.